Welcome to the Automatic Patient Podcast, where we help your dental practice create a kick-ass recurring revenue model. Here are your hosts, Mr. Jordan and Justin Comstock. This podcast is powered by BoomCloud. Create, manage, and grow your dental membership program. Schedule a demo on boomcloud.com.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of the Automatic Patient Podcast. Today, we have an awesome guest, Dr. Mark Costes, a longtime friend. We've been podcasting together for some time, hanging out together for some time. So also with me, I got Justin, our co-host. What's up, Just? How you doing?
What is up? I'm doing pretty good.
So you get twins and Mark today. Mark, what's up, bro? How you been?
I'm great, man. It's good to see you guys. As if it wasn't, complicated enough looking at you guys and figure out who's who. You also have very similar names. I'll blame your parents for that one, but I'm doing great. Twin themed podcast.
Yeah, twin themed podcast. If only you were a twin, it would make it even cooler.
I know. I always wanted to. But
Fun fact. So our mom is an identical twin.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this. And her twin sister is our director of customer success at BoomCloud. So there's a lot of twins happening in our lives. And then my wife's mom's a twin too. It's weird.
What?
Yeah.
Way too much twins.
My wife's mom is a twin. However, I thought it skipped a generation. Like, does it not? Or
it's super rare, especially with identical twins, right? So
yeah,
Justin and I,
it's supposed to skip.
Yeah. But we're just really cool people. So we're not skipping that.
Sounds like too much fun. I'm not going to skip that.
Yeah. So it's a lot of twins in the family. It's kind of fun. So Mark, man, you've been in dentistry for how long now? I know your story.
Depends on if you count dental school. Started dental school in 90, graduated in 02.
Yeah.
So I was a clinical dentist for 21 years before I retired in April of 2023.
Retired in April from clinical. Yeah. You're still owning practices, I would imagine. And I know all the other stuff you do.
Sold the last 4 practices the same time that I hung up the handpiece.
Yeah.
So now the extent of my clinical kind of care is mission trips, which I do a lot of. And I'm a co-owner, co-founder, co-instructor at Colorado Surgical Institute.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was telling my wife the other day because she was a dental assistant. It's like we can't get away from dentistry in our family. It's weird.
Yeah.
And she's like, I was telling her about your mission trips, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's like my dream to go down and do some type of mission trip in dental." And I'm like, "Sweet, I know a guy."
Yeah, we would love to have her anytime. We're always looking for assistance. We just got back from Tanzania, which was an incredible 10-day trip, going to the Dominican Republic. That's our annual, leaving for that over 4th of July weekend. And then we have 2 weeks in Fiji.
Gosh, yeah, that's fun.
In September. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So cool
Awesome.
that you've been able to do that and have had a successful year or career in dentistry. Kind of the focus today, Mark, I want to talk about most dental practice owners, and you and I have talked about this a lot. They tend to get stuck in the chair too much and they don't own their business. If you've read the book E-Myth, it talks a lot about, and Justin's a freak when it comes to E-Myth type stuff.
I've already got some quotes pulled up from that book.
Franchise prototype, which is kind of one
Right.
of the earliest things I ever talked about on stage.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, it's funny because we have the Sexy Six books, and the E-Myth Revisited was the first of the Sexy Six, and all of the members of my mastermind group still get a copy after all these years. This is 12 years later when I started the mastermind. So every new member gets a copy of that book, among others.
Yeah, that's
Wonderful.
Awesome book. I actually met Michael Gerber at a dental conference. We both were speaking at it, and he was the keynote. And then I hung out with him after, and he wears a little hat, I don't know, it's not a fedora, but it's equally weird hat type hat.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah, but he's awesome. So most dentists they get stuck in the chair. we can relate to on the dental lab side,
Right.
we on the lab side, and most of our listeners know that both Justin and I came from the dental lab side. We call it getting stuck at the bench, right?
Yep. The same thing.
And it's really when a business owner gets stuck in the tactical or the technician side of the business, and they can't break out and really scale their business. So Mark, talking on this today, like what are some of the things that you can talk to our listeners about with your experience on how you've been able to escape from the chair and build awesome businesses, including your practices?
Well, thanks, man. Yeah. So Michael would say, Mr. Gerber. Don't know him personally like you do. Michael Gerber would say, you're either a technician, a manager, or an entrepreneur, right? And then, Robert Kiyosaki, who's been on my podcast, would say it in a different way. You're either, a technician, or you're, a small business owner or a large business owner.
Yes.
Active versus passive income, all of those different types of kind of themes come to mind when you ask a question like that. And I think that a lot of people listen to my story, 16 dental practices, and I kind of checked out of the dental chair several times in my career. But the problem is when you are a practice owner in a remote kind of area, not even remote, but relatively small town.
Yeah.
I have, I had 3 practices in this part of the world at 16 practices total. If we would lose an associate, I would have, 6 months earlier officially retired from clinical dentistry. And then I'd get sucked back into the practice again until we find another associate. And then I'd retire again and I'd go back in. And so it's kind of a revolving door of in and out of the dental practice. But I think that if you're going to be a true business owner, you have to look at this kind of in the Michael Gerber way, where you're actually not the person doing the thing. You're somebody that is managing the thing. And if you choose to be one of the technicians within a dental practice, or if you choose to be a baker in your bakery, or if you choose to be a surgeon in your surgical, facility, you're a technician, but you're also potentially still an entrepreneur. What you have to do and what you have to set up is a situation where the proceeds or the profitability or the EBITDA, whatever you want to call it, from the operation minus your actual technical work is enough to support your lifestyle. So I have, kids. I call them, everybody in dentistry is a kid to me now. I have kids that come up to me and they're like, dude, I just want to be you. I'm tired of clinical dentistry, and I want to be, the CEO of my dental practice in the next 12 months. How can you make me do that? How can you help me do that? I'm like, well, how long have you been practicing? Well, this is my 3rd year, and my practice is sub $1 million. And I have $900,000 in practice debt and $600,000 in student loan debt. And I say, well, respectfully, sir, you can't really think about becoming strictly a business owner without your technical contribution for some time. You got to right side yourself up, and you have to handle the debt first, right? Because we go through seasons, right? There are seasons of dental practice ownership. There's seasons of a professional career. And right now, son, you're in the season that I was when I was a hustler and I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, and I was driving from practice to practice, and my kids didn't see me much and my wife didn't see me much. Now, you don't have to make that decision, but there are seasons. And right now you're in the season of pay down debt as aggressively as possible, live within your means, set aside, a slush fund, an emergency fund, and work on the basics first. And then once you right side yourself up and the proceeds of the practice are enough to pay for everything, including your student loans, including your house and your cars and private school and food and all of that stuff, the base level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once you can do that with your business and you're comfortable living within those constraints, then you are free and you don't have to be a technician anymore if you don't choose to be. But, I think it's important, and I think people skip this. They look at somebody that's further along the line, like you guys or like me, and they're like, I want that right now.
Yeah.
I didn't decide that. I didn't decide this 21 years ago and then flip a switch and then it was so. I didn't have the ability to quit general dentistry or being a clinician till about 7 or 8 years ago, which was about, 13, 14 years into my clinical career. So
Sure.
it doesn't happen overnight, but you have to understand the basics of what it means. It means that the proceeds, the profit of the business minus your technical contribution is going to pay for your living expenses, basically.
Yeah, that's actually a great perspective. When I started Boom Cloud, it wasn't like magic. Yeah, I got a business in a box and it's operating.
Yeah.
I started Boom Cloud from scratch without any investors, and we call it sweat equity, right? Where you've got to build it, and then you can, I think when I brought Justin on, he helped build the systems in place so I can start getting rid of myself and firing myself from all the roles that I had to do in the early days of our
Some of
company.
that delegating them, right, to other people.
Yeah, and you're
Yep.
right. It is an evolution. It doesn't just happen overnight. It does take some planning and some understanding of what it gets to, what it costs and what you need to get to that stage of the business. But yeah, I remember thinking, like the little young guys that you're talking about, remember thinking, why can't it just run by itself without me? Today it does, but yeah. In the founding days, no, it's hard.
Right. I'd like to share a quote. One of my favorite quotes from Michael Gerber is, organize around business functions, not people. Build systems within each business function. Let systems run the business and people run the systems. People come and go, but the systems remain constant. And that's what we've had to focus on here, is creating a system where people can basically plug into and operate at that level, so the business remains consistent, because people come and go all the time.
Yeah, Mark, that quote reminds, when you talked about associates, and we hear it all the time in dentistry, associates probably are the most challenging to hire and retain, from what I hear. And I'm sure you managing 16 locations.
Associate dental hygienists. Yeah. The producers within
the producers. Yeah.
the
So
tech-
how do you, back to that quote that Justin just read, how do you build a dental practice around the system so when people come and go, the business is consistent?
Yeah. That's a great question. And that Michael Gerber's example in the E-Myth was a McDonald's, right? And it was Sarah's Pie Shop, where she was making pies, and she was just like a young dentist, where we're so excited about the 3-degree taper and a 2-millimeter reduction, and best with our lab technician, and we dork out about emergent profile and all that stuff. And then, you look at them 3 years later and they look like somebody beat them over the head with a wiffle ball bat, because life and business and the clinical stuff and the management and the people and all that stuff just beats you down after a while if you're wearing too many hats. So, like, if you're looking at a business like dentistry, it's not a McDonald's, because you can't have a 17-year-old manager that just plugs into a system.
Sure.
And you can't just hire somebody off the street to do an implant or a molar or a crown and bridge procedure. So there's a complexity to dentistry that you can't take from a book like E-Myth, because there's something a little advanced or very advanced
than a hamburger.
than a hamburger or a pie shop, so that adds complexity to the whole notion of this lifestyle practice or a passive income generating machine, right? So if you're looking at scaling and removing yourself and creating a process-driven dental practice, a systems-driven dental practice that's not solely reliant just on human beings, like you're saying, Justin, you need to have even more robust systems. You need to have robust systems for recruitment and for retention, quality control within the clinical kind of output. You need some sort of calibration in your treatment planning and case acceptance and all that stuff. You need an onboarding process. So within a certain period of time, everybody's kind of seeing a treatment plan the same way and presenting it the same way and getting, relatively similar results when it comes to the clinical output. So there's a complexity to it that you won't find in the eMyth, but that does not mean that it's impossible, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
Every day. There's 700, and I think MB2 is closing in on 700 locations. I think Heartland is closing in on 2,000 locations, and,
Wow.
and they figured out a way to do it. So, us practitioners that have 1 or 2 practices that want to get to 5, there's definitely a way to do it. There's and the people that have 5 operatories and that want to get to 10 operatories, and that'd be good for their career. There's definitely a way to do it, but you have to be reasonable about the fact that this has to happen. I have to have written down somewhere some sort of process for onboarding an associate, for retaining
Right.
for checking the quality and calibrating, the treatment plans and the philosophies of a clinical provider. So those things have to happen. And then you have to look at every position that way. A chairside assistant has the same kind of calibration and onboarding, et cetera, expectations and accountabilities that everybody else in the organization has in that same role, et cetera. So that's the way you have to kind of look at things, that it's all about onboarding. It's all about consistent implementation, accountabilities. You have to be a strong leader in order to pull it off. So, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah. And I would imagine, Mark, you back to clinical methodologies. I don't know what you guys call it. That's how I'm calling it. I would imagine that you make sure that whoever you're bringing on, because we have here at Boom Cloud, it's similar, right? We have developers that are similar to dentists that are sitting in the chair coding, right? They got to be on a laptop. I was never one of those guys. So we operate the business a little differently, but we do have methodologies for each department. So our development department has their own a methodology that we all agree on and we all follow. I would imagine clinical is the same, very similar. And then we have a sales methodology that our sales and marketing team follows, and on, right? I would imagine it would start there, and that way you can recruit. We also have a recruiting methodology. Justin and I talk about this all the time, where we have people and talented people that we need to be always attracting. And we always say, we got to fill the backlog of humans, right?
Right.
So whether we need to hire or not, we're always networking and trying to recruit, so that when the time is needed, if the associate dentist says, peace, I'm out, we have another one to replace that we've already networked with and, built a relationship with. That's kind of how I would imagine dentistry would operate, very similar to how kind of we're operating, because there's top talent that you have to attract in our company, very similar to attracting an associate dentist. So if you don't have that function in the business, it could get real clunky in regards to finding those associates to then keep building and adding to each practice. That's how I think of it, though. I don't know if that's right. Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. And I think that one of the things that's so cool and insulating about dentistry is that, it's difficult to get into dental school. It's difficult to pass dental school. It's difficult to get proficient in clinical dentistry. And then it's really difficult to learn how to run a successful practice. So you have all these hurdles to get to a place where you can scale yourself. But there are, the checklist is thousands of checks long before you're qualified to go buy that first practice, and then the second, and then the third, and then the 12th, and then the 15th, right? So the bar is set actually quite high for the things that you have to do, but the bar is actually set pretty low for the number of people that are able to accomplish it. So if you, which means, and what I mean by that is very few people are able to accomplish it. So once you kind of break through that glass ceiling, it's clear blue skies if you have a
competitive advantage.
Exactly.
I would imagine,
because there's very few people that have all of those particular skill sets. So I think that it's really important for you to understand what it is that you have to become proficient in first and foremost. And then once you understand what that is, you have to go out and seek that knowledge and get those reps.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, back to your story of the 3-year dentist that's in. what's the very first thing he or she should be doing to position them? Because I know I've known dentists for a long time, right? Me and Just have been in the industry. We know a lot of dentists. We have family that are dentists and friends. And it seems like they all get stuck in the chair. What is, at least for you, Mark, when you decided I don't want to be stuck in the chair, like what's the first things that you did, or looking back, what you could have done earlier to help kind of accelerate the I don't want to be stuck in the chair mentality?
Yeah, well, I'm just lucky because it took me 3 years and 21 tries to get into dental school, right? So I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so it took me forever, and I was the kid that was just like had his face pressed against the glass trying to get in. Like, cool as you cool guys that are dental students. I wish I was as cool as you dentists that are dentists. So I never
Now
took
look at you. Now it's the reverse, dude.
but you know, I always thought that, you know, to myself, I made a deal with myself. If I ever got into dental school and got my degree, that I was going to leverage this thing to the maximum, right? I was going to figure out every way
So
that I
cool.
could to help as many people as I could, whether that was patients or other dentists. I didn't know exactly yet at the time, but I knew that I was going to leverage the degree to the maximum. And like to if I'm speaking to this 3-year dentist, if you are a hammer, the whole world is a nail, right? So we spend the most of our time talking about how we can improve our clinical skill set, how we can become more efficient and more proficient clinicians. So when we bump into a problem in business ownership, the first thing that we turn to is that clinical safety space, right? So
Sure.
how many times have you guys seen this with dentists, right? It's like, oh my God, my cash flow, I'm upside down. My debt is out of control. Like, I don't know where the money goes. You know, I'm producing
boy.
$100,000 a month and I can't make payroll every month. I don't know if you talk to dentists like this, but this is like the
Yeah.
common thing that I talk
Yeah.
to dentists about. It's like, where's the money? Like, I'm producing so much. Where's the money? So you look at a dentist like this 3-year guy, we'll call him Dr. Mike. So Dr. Mike is going, all right, I have a cash flow problem. What I do know how to do is dentistry. What I need to learn more of is more advanced dentistry in order to get myself out of this pickle, right? So Dr. Mike is now saying, all right, I'm negative $25,000 a month and I'm putting payroll on my credit card. And I calculate that I'm about 8 months away from bankruptcy. What I really need to do is what I'm comfortable with and go take that implant course or go take that occlusion course or go learn how to take out third molars or get my AV sedation. Believe me, I own, you know, I'm a part owner of Colorado Surgical Institute. I support all of that. But the first thing that Dr. Mike has to do is figure out how a dollar flows through his practice and why.
Yeah.
Right.
Figure out where the holes are in your bucket first, bro, because if you pick up another clinical skill set, you're going to figure out how to produce more dentistry and more of that liquidity is going to fall out of the bottom of your bucket. You haven't figured out how to run a business yet. So first and foremost, Dr. Mike, figure out how to run a business, find the right mentors, find a group that you could join, find a consultant, find a coach, do whatever you have to do to educate yourself on why there is no money in the bank account at the end of the month when you are producing what you're producing. So first and foremost, get educated, figure out how a dollar flows through the practice, learn how to read financial reports, read how to understand why the reports say what they say. And then we can talk about, all right, we're going to increase the number of new patients that we get. So I'm going to talk to a marketing company. Now we could talk about, all right, I'm going to get my AV sedation license and I'm going to learn how to do all on X. But you have to do it in the right order.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to find yourself in a very precarious situation with unlimited skill set and no cash.
No money. Yeah. Cash
Right.
is king. Cash flow is king.
It
Yeah,
is.
We learned this a ton, Mark. So Justin and I, as you know, manage my dad's dental lab, and very similar story. Where's the cash at the end of the month?
Yeah, man.
Very, where the hell did it go? And what the hell should I do?
Right.
What's the solution, Justin? Where's my cash?
Yeah.
Right. It kind of turned our mindsets to working in the business,
Yeah.
right? Making
It forced
crowns
us to.
and forced us to work on it and figure out the functions of the business. So we weren't having cash flow problems. So
Yeah.
it's that the mindset shift from working in the business to actually on the functions and making sure that those functions are healthy and operating the way that they need to operate instead of just dealing with cash flow problems.
Oh, yeah, that is not fun. We've
It's
been
not
there.
fun. It's
No.
it's
So
not fun.
I feel any dentist that maybe that going through that, there are definitely solutions. Mark, when I started Boom Cloud, I started this company and I'm like, I don't want the problems that the dental lab had, the
No.
dental lab had in my business. And one of the first things that we did when I set up Boom Cloud is we set up a percentage-based budget system,
Right.
which we still use today. Meaning I like to know where my cash is and where it's going every month. And the reason why I recommend a percentage-based budget is, at least for me in my company is scaled year over year, right? So it's changing and stretching and doing all these things that I'm like, I don't know, you can't predict everything. So I love percentage-based budgets because they scale, and when they scale, more free cash flow, is created. And then you can say, well, what else do we need to invest back into in the company? Is it a director of marketing, that just happened for us at Boomfly? We just invested into a new director of marketing because of our percentage-based budget system. I think that's where it starts, at least for me, and knowing the cash flow problems that a dentist may have. I love having some type of budget that we're following, and then it scales up as we continue growing. That way you're not having to redo the budget all the time. It's like, oh no, here's the budget. This is where it's currently sitting. Here's our payroll, our lease payments to our building, our software. Because we're a software company and we spend a ton of money on software to help us create software. It's ridiculous. It's weird. And but that percentage-based budget has helped me as a business owner and operator over time navigate the complexities of a business that's growing with more headcount and all that. So I don't know if that's anything that you've done, but that's kind of where my mind goes, talking about the cash flow issues.
Yeah, for sure. Oh God, you're speaking my language, man. So
Yeah, baby.
I don't know, like DSI, the coaching company is 12 years old this year.
Wow.
12 years old. We started in 2012 with our first, 11 clients. Now we have, I don't know, 230 or something, but
Fantastic.
slow growing intentionally slow
Yeah.
growing. We have 21 coaches, and it's just an incredible business. But what we developed, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, was this belt system. So I don't know if you guys are interested, or at least minimally aware of martial arts, but we have a belt system that is exactly like martial arts. You can come in as a no belt, a white belt, blue belt, brown belt, black belt. And this is based on, categories in expenses. And when we are looking at a P&L, we convert that P&L to one of our kind of what we call a scorecard. So your scorecard is based on all of the main categories of expenditures in your dental practice. You got fixed and variable expenses. And if you are a no belt, which means that your overhead is greater than 65% and your leadership score is low, your culture score is low, your systemization score is low, we track all of this stuff for every single practice based on assessments. So if you come in and you don't have a white belt yet, then we set your numbers and your categorizations as goals to get there. Each of your categories are set from 0 belt to white belt. Once you hit white belt, we reset all of your categories to new goals and new percentages to get that blue belt. And once you get that blue belt, 55% overhead, and your leadership score, systemization score, and culture score hits a certain percentage, then we reset everything to try to get to the brown belt, and then again to the black belt level. So the people that are black belts in our organization have very low overhead, very high culture score, very high systemization score, very leadership score. And that's how we are constantly creating this model of ascension. Like, all right, I'm a blue belt. Now I got to get to brown. I'm a brown belt. Now I got to get to black. And then the black belts are just in rarefied air. And we've created this kind of really cool culture where the black belts help the white belts. But when the white belts are getting coached by the black belts are like, oh, I forgot how to do that. It's been so long since I was a white belt. And then they learn stuff. It's just like martial arts class, man. When
you're cool.
That's awesome.
When you're sparring with or rolling with, a black belt and you're a blue belt, the black belt learns as much as the blue belt.
Right.
Yeah. That is so cool.
That's
I remember
very cool.
yeah, years ago, I went to one of your down in Prescott. You did you had I don't know if you call them masterminds. You call them
Yeah.
masterminds? You had one of
Mhm.
those, and it was fascinating to see your model with the white, blue, brown, and black belts. That's actually really cool. So you're helping practices in each stage, which back to like my percentage-based budget, what we do, it fits into that really well. Like, okay, when we get to this stage, what are the changes we need to make as a business? And one of the things for me was that's been challenging as we hit those stages is I get BoomCloud is a great cash flowing company, right? So I get comfortable with all that cash flow, and then we get to the next stage. It's like, well, we need to make these next investments, right? And then I'm like, oh, I really want that cash flow, but to be able to take to the next level, you kind of have to stretch yourself and get out of your comfort zone. And I've learned over the years, like, man, actually, it's better to get comfortable getting outside of your comfort zone, because then you grow and you take the business to the next level, and it helps not only you as the owner, but everyone involved. It's so critical. The longer I've run this business, if I make call it a selfish decision when it comes to finances, it shoots all of us in the foot in regards to growth, right? So I would imagine your white, blue, brown, black levels stretching those individuals to get to that next level, because it's not easy. It's always a stretch, at least in my experience.
Yeah, it is always a stretch. I feel like once you get to a level where you're comfortable, like you said, instead of stretching for a lot of us, instead of trying to get to the next level, instead of trying to win, we're trying not to lose.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start trying not to lose, that's when things start to go actually haywire.
Yes.
If you're an athlete, you know that, if you're playing in a football game right before playoffs and you're trying not to get hurt, you're playing not to get hurt, 99% of the time, that's when you actually get hurt, because you're playing half speed and you're being cautious, and it changes your regular rhythm. And when you're trying to win versus trying not to lose, you're actually in a safer place. That's kind of a philosophy of mine.
Yes, no, that's interesting. And I'm like, I've noticed that the reason why I've always had coaches and consultants help me is because I do get stuck in the trenches. And I know that, and I know how dangerous that can be, not only for me, but for the entire organization. So as practice owners, are going through their journey of owning and growing a practice to 1 to 2 to locations and beyond, I always recommend having some type of coach. That's what gets me out of my comfort zone. And even guys like Justin, my leadership team, having smart guys that are pushing me and stretching me. It's because it goes both ways, right? They're in our leadership teams in our company. They're learning and growing. They're pushing me to learn and grow and to make decisions, to stretch myself. I think making sure as you're running a practice, getting those types of leaders involved and coaches is so critical. I've always had a coach and even a friend group. I pay to be part of a mastermind group with other software founders, and there's a guy that's built his career kind of like you, right? We'll call him the Mark of the software industry. He's had an excellent career and a lot of exits and success. And every month we get together and he coaches us and stretches us, and it is awesome. And I want more of it, right? So I would encourage all the practices listening, or the practice owners on the call, like that's so important. And for me, it's been so critical to get to the next level. And Mark, I would imagine, I know you have coaches and mentors. I've heard you talk about them on your podcast. I would imagine they've helped you get to that next level and get out of your own way.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's funny how, myopically we see things when we're actually just staring at the same problem all day, every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't even take an expert to just stand behind you and go, have you even considered doing this tiny thing or that? It's like,
Yeah.
actually, no, I have been staring at this and I couldn't figure this out. It takes one person from an objective standpoint, standing 10 feet away from you, just to be like, oh, everything is so clear in comparison to how you see it. And that's the role I see coaches, it's like,
Yeah.
LeBron's coach and Tiger's coach, they're not actually better athletes or better at the technical aspect of anything. They just have the ability to see from a different point of view where they can improve and how they can maximize their performance. You can't put anybody that's, a world-class level anything next to their coach. Their coach is not going to be better than them at anything, technically speaking.
Sure.
Just have a different vantage point, a different perspective, and enough experience to know that, hey, if you do this just subtly this way, 2 millimeters to this direction, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And that's what's going to break you through, whatever barrier is holding you back right now.
Yeah, I love that, dude.
Awesome.
So you've been running DSI, you said 12 years? Did I get that right? 12 years?
DSI 12 years, the podcast 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dental Success Network as well. You do a lot in the dental industry to help practice owners. What if a practice was, a dentist that owns his practice is listening to here, talk about DSI for a minute. I think it's fascinating. I personally have been to several of your mastermind groups and of course your live event. What can a practice expect if they were to join your DSI?
Yeah, so DSI is a special place. When I was on the come up, I was looking for exactly what you were looking for. I was looking for a community of like-minded people, and frankly, in 2003 when I had my first practice, there was nothing available.
Sure.
So I was also very into fitness. I had developed a fitness product in addition to owning 3 practices at the time. And I was a personal trainer for 13 years. I was a, collegiate athlete and stuff. So I was really into fitness. So I felt like those were my people. And I found actually a fitness mastermind group. They were all either fitness franchise owners or gym owners, and personal trainers at the same time. So I joined a fitness mastermind group and I was like, gyms are not all that different from dental practices. And it was through this group that I met my very first business mentor, Bedros Keuilian, who's one of the biggest franchise guys in the world now, where I'm so blessed to be able to call him a personal friend. And he took me under his wing and he's like, dude, you don't need to be in the fitness industry. You're a dentist. You deserve this degree. You deserve to be able to build on, all of your hard work. Let's take kind of some of my basic fundamental ideas and try to apply them to a dental practice. And I did that. And, the practices exploded. And he was also the person that helped me kind of structure my very first coaching group. And that coaching group is not like a regular consultancy. We don't take a coach and send them out to your office, once every 3 months. We don't have a cookbook. We don't have like a recipe book that says, all right, first you're going to go through module 1, and then you're going to go through module 2, and then you're going to call me on, Tuesday and Thursday, and we're going to check in. It's totally, totally different. We have the people that are the coaches within our group have already been through the group. They're all practicing dentists. They're all business owners, and they're giving back to the community by coaching them on what they've learned. So they're black belts and they're coaching the other people within the group. So the coaches are black belts. We have a really, really strong emphasis on financial reporting and financial analysis. So we have a whole financial analysis department within DSI. So we work directly with bookkeepers and CPAs. We get raw data from your practice management software, and we create customized reports for you every month. And we coach you based on your financial reports in one coaching call. And then we have a CEO call where we teach you how to be a better leader and implementer within your dental practice. And then we have live events where we meet 4 times a year, and we have unlimited coaching for anybody on the team. So it's just a much different environment. And you'll see, if anybody has ever been with another coach or consultant before, they try to separate their clients because they don't want them comparing notes. Like they don't want 16 people in a room that are all saying, yeah, this shit isn't working for me either. They separate their clients as much as possible. We put our clients, or we don't even call them clients, we put our members in the same room as often as we possibly can, because there's magic in sharing best practices and collaborating and supporting. And so the magic of the group is that the coaches are community members, and the community members are encouraged to engage together, share best practices, and to support one another. So the results are unbelievable. I would put our group up to any other group in dentistry. We probably have the most successful dental practices.
So cool.
Very, 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 very high level.
Love it.
Yeah, I believe Napoleon Hill in his book, one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich, talks about the mastermind a
Mhm.
lot. And it sounds like you've kind of mastered that within DSI. So super cool. What's the website for DSI, and how do people just reach out to you, or is it like, hey, you got to know us type thing? Like, how does that work?
No, I mean, there are people that are more suited for this type of learning
Sure.
environment than others. You can find anything else about me at truedentalsuccess.com. Probably the fastest way to engage with me is to direct message me on Instagram. I know that sounds cheesy, but I'm Dr. Mark
No.
Koskes, Dr. MarkCostes on Instagram. Just follow me and hit me up in direct messages, and I will return your message within a day. But True Dental Success kind of goes over all my speaking engagements, travel over 120,000 miles a year. Last year I made 18 trips to 70 cities in 4 countries. So I'll probably be in a city near you at some point. So True Dental Success will tell you where I'm at.
Mark
if you want.
Costes, coming to a city near you. I love it.
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. I'll send you one. But our this year's summit T-shirt is the Dental Success World Tour, and it's just like a
Oh
concert
yeah.
on the back, and it has all of my speaking engagements on the back, and I think there's like 26 or 27. So it has like it has the date, the name of the event, and the city that we're in. So it looks like a concert T-shirt.
Yeah,
Just
we
like
like
a
that,
tour. Yeah, rock
just like a
concert.
tour.
Yeah, we like rock concerts over here at Boom
Yeah.
Club, so it's awesome. Well, Mark, thanks so much for hanging out with me and Justin.
Yeah,
and
thanks, Mark.
having some twin talk today.
Twin talk.
Yeah, you guys were very gentle. I didn't feel that left out. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, we appreciate you, man. I've enjoyed getting to know you over the years. I think what you've built in dentistry is awesome and fascinating. So keep it up, brother. And excited to bring you on more of the episodes here in the future and just hang out more.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you both. You guys have been super, super gracious and generous with your time with my team. You guys are part of a little mini mastermind group that we're trying to create as well.
Yeah.
With like-minded entrepreneurs. So thank you guys so much for all of your gracious support and guidance over the last few months.
Yeah. With that said, everybody, we hope you enjoyed the podcast today. Rock on.
Rock on.